Welcome, my friends, to the showdown between Norsca, who shall be led by Throg the Troll King. And today, guys, he's going to be facing off against the Warriors of Chaos, who shall be led by Sartorial the Ever Chicken. And man, the Chaos metagame is really shaking up. Months ago, I wouldn't have believed it if somebody had told me, yeah, you're going to be seeing Chaos spawn pretty regularly against Chaos. And as a matter of fact, there's going to be 3 of these bad boys, including the Weird Spawn. So as far as my build goes, it's relatively old school. I think this is a build that's actually in my Norsca guide, which is really outdated by now. But nonetheless, it is a pretty decent build. In the front line, you have Marauders and Marauder champions with great weapons, and the champs do a pretty good job against Chaos Infantry. They're going to be able to beat down, I think they actually do beat regular Chaos Warriors, and on top of that, they can beat Marauders, and they just give you some good punch. And even against Chosen, they can trade somewhat effectively. They have 40 weapon strength, plus they do also have the Enraged mechanic. A lot of people don't actually know about this, but the longer they fight, the better they get. They get leadership, melee attack, physical resist, all kinds of good stuff. So we got 2 groups of those guys, 3 groups of Marauders here in the front line. Inevitably, though, my front line probably will falter, and I'm going to have to pull in my Famir and my Dragons and my other supporting elements because, he's got Chaos Warriors, he has Chosen, he has Weird Spawn, so he has a ton of frontline punch. Now to deal with big monsters, and I had kind of an inkling because I had played a couple games on ladder in days previous to this, and I had been running into a lot of Chaos players who were bringing, Chaos Spawn. So I was like, you know what? King always brings these weird builds. He brings, what is it called? The Bombers with the Vampire Coast. He's probably going to bring Weird Spawn or Chaos Spawn or something. So I brought 2 Marauder Hunters with Javelins, and regardless of the Weird Spawn or Chaos Spawn, you should bring these guys against Chaos. They're very good against Shaggoths, and oftentimes matchups like this, when Chaos versus Norsca, it does devolve into a bit of a monster mash. So having these guys to deal with the monsters, including the Chaos Spawn, is really good. We do have a Deathcaster as well, so Spirit Leech and Buna. Again, I was kind of expecting some elite infantry, maybe some Chosen, so the Buna there should be pretty good. We do also have Throg Daddy. Throg is very good at fighting big monsters, and his club is more than happy to smash some filthy Chaos Spawn, even though it has the Mark of Chaos on it. In the back, we have Norsca and Ice Wolves. So the Ice Wolves are a really good backline defender, and oftentimes, Chaos players are going to be using Warhounds to come in there and deal with your Javelins, so their monsters can, flourish, right? So use Norsca and Ice Wolves, and these Ice Wolves beat the brakes off Chaos Warhounds. They just tear them to shreds, they frostbite them, and they can frostbite other high value targets as well. They're really, really good here. And last but not least, this is one thing I don't normally do in my matchup here, but I do have a Frostworm. The Frostworm, of course, does have frostbite, breath attacks, very good against elite Chaos Infantry, and on top of that, he has good AP values himself. So we're going to be trying to get on some juicy targets, and thankfully, though, I do have the breath attacks against the Hell Cannon. Hell Cannons, of course, are very, very easy to target down with the breath attacks. That's pretty much it for my force, and for the forces of King of the Dead. 2 groups of Chaos Poison with Warhounds, actually 3 it looks like, and he definitely has some of the best Hound micro out there. On the flanks we have Chaos Warriors here, and 2 groups of Chosen with Halberds in the center. We're going to be tanking and spanking here with the Weird Spawn. So this is going to be interesting. Chaos Spawn with some of the cost reductions and buffs they've gotten certainly can kill lightly armored infantry very quickly if they're supported. They do have 10 armor themselves, so if they get caught up amongst like Marauders or Berserkers, they can actually take a surprising amount of damage, but with support, they can actually do a lot of DPS. On top of that, he's got Hell Cannon, Warp Chicken with Final Transmutation, and that's pretty much it. It's very, very elite here in the middle with the Chaos Spawn and the Chosen. Let's get the show on the road. So firstly, you can see, is he doing like that? It looked like he shot twice there for a second. Anyways, the Hell Cannon is going to be going downtown, probably going to be targeting my champions with great weapons, which is pretty strong. But it also looks like he's changing targets with pretty much every volley, which is smart because sometimes if you're playing against, someone who's very privy to this, they see the second volley coming, they can try and juke it, but if you keep switching targets, it definitely keeps your opponents on their toes. So realizing the threat is very serious, and I'm taking some decent casualties in the front line. Here we've lost about 11 models and some serious HP, and I really need these guys. These Chosen are going to be a pain in the butt to deal with. I fly in with the Dragon, but King, of course, being the savvy veteran here, is going to be pulling off the Hell Cannon crew. So now if I do a breath attack, it's going to shoot the Chaos Dwarves, and it won't necessarily hit the Hell Cannon square on and get that juicy, juicy value. So basically, I'm like, okay, Hell Cannon sitting here, I'm going to sit here, let's just do this. At least I'm not being shot, so I'm just going to wait for them to get back on, at which point I will get that breath attack. On top of that, you can see the entire army's getting slowed here by the chilling aura, and the Hounds in the back are getting in position. So this is really good. If King is able to find his way in with the Warhounds and chew on my Javelins, his Chaos Spawn and his front line will mash me. I really need these Javelins to take out the Weird Spawn and some of those other troops. So you can see here I'm doing a bit of a cross hatch. I'm pulling back my Marauders and sending in the great weapons. I do get a breath attack right here, but it doesn't quite finish the Hell Cannon. I was a little bit disappointed. Now the frontline fighting is going to be underway. So Buna is off, so it gives me a fighting chance here. Javelins are pulling in full force here, doing a ton of damage against Weird Spawn. You can see they take one volley of those Javelins and they're near their grave. In the back, King coming in with Warhounds. I do intercept one group here with my Norscan Ice Wolves. My Marauders are pulling back, and the Famir are going to be jumping on the other group. So pretty much every group of Warhounds has been kind of addressed in one way or the other. Now I still am, partially shut down and taking some damage, but for the most part, the backline situation is quite good. In the front here, I did send some Famir over here on the flanks and kind of the weak point of his army here to crump on some of the Chaos Warriors, and they're doing a good job in the back. I was able to temporarily shut down the Hell Cannon, but now we have the Frostworm fighting the Chicken, and the issue with that being is Chicken has some really, really good magic resist, So the Frostworm with its magic damage is going to be heavily neutered in this situation. Now the bounce power is pretty heavily in my favor, right? It looks like it's going to be a pretty great frontline engagement, but now Chaos is pushing through. You can see the Chaos Spawn have mulched my flanks. They're pushing into the back line. The Weird Spawn are getting on my Marauder Hunters. There's Hounds back here. I mean, there's a ton of pressure on pretty much every front. So the Fimir are going to have to sweep over and potentially clean these guys up. And Fimir are very well equipped to deal with Chaos Spawn. They have good armor, which is going to make them very tanky. Plus that bonus first large means they're going to be crumping some of these John Carpenter boosts. Here in the back, Poison Warhounds again coming back from rallying, but just using these Norsca and Ice Wolves, methodically rotating back and forth, picking off all the Hounds, and as far as kills, they're up to 67. Very solid stuff, and they're able to chase them off really quickly, which means my Javelins are back online, and though they're beat up, 42 models here, 45 here, they're still like, you know, above half capacity in terms of firepower, and they're certainly going to be bringing a lot more punch to the battlefield. In the back, you can see that the Frostworm was able to get away from the Chicken, going to be looking for another opportunity to get good breath attacks against the Chosen, because I believe some of the Chosen are still healthy. One group took a lot of damage from the Buna, but the other one pretty much took nothing. They're very elite, obviously. They had some pretty good support in the form of Chaos Spawn, and I can't really fight these guys square. I mean, if I sit here and fight with my Fimir, for example, the Chosen with Halberds are going to be able to get in there with that bonus first large and just do so much damage. So basically, I have to fall back with the Javelins. Excuse me one second, guys. Goodness gracious, that was quite an epic sneeze. I'm glad I was able to mute the mic there, but nonetheless, we march forward. So Fiat Abuna is going to be going down right here on the Chosen with Halberds, and now I can surge in for a second punch because the models are going to be losing a lot of HP, and I have infantry coming in, I have Marauders, just all kinds of stuff, and they're getting chipped down rather quickly. But still, you know, Chaos is pushing me back here. You can see the Chaos Spawn have one model. There's 11 Chaos Spawn right here. My Fimir kind of getting crumped a little bit. A pretty good final transmutation is able to clip the edge of that formation, and yeah, now I'm pretty much on the retreat. But a breath attack coming in from the Frostworm is able to do some okay work here against Chaos Warriors, but stand your ground is going to keep them fighting. So this Chicken is certainly leading the bunch. And now I basically have some Haggard Marauders fighting Chosen, who did take a beating themselves from the Fate of Buna, but now they're supported. They're not taking that much damage anymore. Granted, 19 Marauder champions coming back in is going to be pretty nice, but still, you know, they're going to be pushing forward, and it's going to be really tough to deal with those. On top of that, you know, I have to deal with Sartorial. Thankfully, though, I do have a really good Chicken Slayer. Of course, Throg has taken a lot of damage this battle, but he does, of course, heal. He's a troll, and he's doing a really good job healing. I'm trying to fall back with the Javelin, just kind of scooting and shooting, falling back and shooting, falling back and shooting, using Throg to frostbite these guys, keep them in place, and you can see their speed is only 27 right now, so they're not able to really close that distance. And the Dragon is also cycle charging as well, just trying to halt the advance of Chaos, because if they get into my Javelins, I'm going to be in some serious trouble. Here, the Weird Spawn are still going as well, and it looks like a single Weird Spawn is going to be going after my Shaman Sorcerer. So unfortunately, I did have enough Winds of Magic for like one more Spirit Leech, but he's going to be getting chased off, and now you can see, guys, the balance of power is actually relatively even. I mean, slightly in my favor, but it's still a really, really close game here. And the Frostworm is going after the Chicken, just frostbiting him, trying to get Throg's help, but that magic resist on Sartorial really helps out quite a bit here. But my Fimir broken as well. The Halberds coming in with their bonus first large and their AP and really just kind of cleaning up shop. So Throg really has to hold this now. Look at this. Even the brave Chaos Dwarves are coming into the back line, going after the Marauder Hunters with Javelins, but the Fimir should be able to finish those guys off rather quickly. I wonder why they're unbreakable. I wonder what the explanation is for that. But here you can see some Chosen coming in as well. Looks like we have 18 Chosen. 610 HP, still a bit of a threat against my Fimir, for sure. And Sartorial is also pushing into the back line, and look at that, guys. The bounce of power actually going back into the favor of Chaos there. Relatively scary situation, and now you can see that the Chosen with Halberds are finally getting worn down. It's taken pretty much forever, but they did break off my Fimir, or actually it looks like a Terror Route coming down from Sartorial. But you can see the big Chicken here is going to be 1400 HP, relatively low. Dragon's coming back in with 518 HP. Granted, the magic damage isn't huge, but it still packs a bit of a punch. I don't know what Sartorial's actual magic resist is here. Let's go ahead and double check here. Sorry about the background noise, guys. And 25% magic resist. Yeah, it's still pretty substantial. So the Javelins are back, 38 models right here, and we do also have 36 right here. And yeah, we're just going to be throwing in. I mean, even though Sartorial has massive missile resist, still getting that damage is what I need at this point in the game. Chosen are holding on, and now I'm finally pulling ahead on the bounce of power as Throg's regeneration is just outscaling the DPS that's going to be coming in here. I mean, the Chosen themselves, like, you know, can do pretty good against him, but yeah, that healing is going to be really, really nice. He comes in against a Chicken, gets a huge clubbing blow, and down goes Sartorial. There are a couple Chosen left, but they're not going to be able to stand up against the might of the Javelins. So basically what I do here, knowing Throg will take damage here, and it could potentially be an in for my opponent, I pull back, and I'm just going to be getting Javelins and things like that. I mean, I didn't know what else was left on the battlefield. I think there was some Chaos Warriors over here. It looks like, yeah, 51 models. That's pretty much it at this point. Javelins are cleaning up, and yeah, Javelins are such a good unit. They're pretty much kind of the same school of thought of Huntsman for the Empire. Like, yeah, they have that, you know, good anti-large, that good arc of fire, pretty good range, and even though they lack AP, they can still do some pretty good damage against armor. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and double check their AP values. 36 missile damage in this bad boy, and yeah, 7 of it is armor piercing. That's really not that bad. So that's going to be it for now. Well played to my opponent, King of the Dead. Certainly a very fun game. And yeah, I thought both the builds were pretty good. Like, he crumped my front line, and I felt like I was in a pretty good position, but he kept pushing and kept pushing. And that kind of shows what Chaos Spawn can do. I mean, they're a really perpetual threat. They're not going to break. And even when they're beat up, they can still pack some serious punch for sure. But yeah, I think this is a pretty solid build. Buna's really good against Chosen Tech. Against like Hell Cannon, you have the Dragon. And the Dragon's also really good against Shaggoth play, because if they come in with like Kolek or a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, for example, Throg can fight them, and it's going to be a hard fight for Throg. But then you Spirit Leech, you Alpha Strike with the Frostworm, and that's going to be a lot of punch, a lot of Frostbite. They're not going to get away, and it's very, very good for sure. I really think, though, in retrospect, if I were to analyze the game, like the big MVP were the Norscan Ice Wolves. These guys like methodically peeled off 3 groups of the Warhounds and were able to really keep the backline and the Javelins functional. Had I lost the Javelins, the game would have 100% been over. Like, if you had been able to get those guys and chase them away from my main army, it would have been game blouses. I would not have been able to come back. So yeah, very well played to King. It was an awesome build. Getting to see Chosen with Halberds, Hell Cannons, Chaos Spawn, and like, it was, yeah, I mean, I think this build is relatively proven and has done very well. And this build came in and like, man, he did a lot of damage to those Chaos Spawn and those guys in the front line. So well played to him. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Norsca versus Chaos game, and we will see you guys on the other side. Take care.